This video will be about installing the table that we constructed the other day onto the 790, well, the DeWalt 790 radial arm saw. I'm not going to actually install it because that would make the video either a 3-part series or 30 minutes long or 40 minutes long, and I don't want to do that. My videos are getting too long. So what we're going to do is just talk about the process I went through. All right. First of all, you've made sure that your table is flat and rigid. Nothing is going to matter. No adjustment is going to help it if it's not flat and rigid. When I mean flat, look, at nothing in this world is perfect. You're going to be within 128th of an inch or a 64th at the absolute most. So where do you start to adjust this table? You start at the corners. You start at the back corners. Pull this out. Pull the carriage out on the arm. Swing it around to the farthest corner on. Whoops. First thing we have to do is you have to get the arbor down. Blade off, arbor down. All right, locked in place. Okay, the arbor is down. Now you swing the motor around until the arbor is sitting over, half inch inside the back edge of the table at the arm's farthest reach. All right. Always remember, every time you move this between adjustments, always remember to tighten this clamp, the locking clamp at the back of the arm. You don't have to lock it into the notch, but you've got to lock that locking clamp because that does have an effect on where the arm, rather on how high it raises and lowers. What we're doing here is we are compensating for the natural sag in this cast iron arm, as stiff as it is, and in this cast iron column, as stiff it is. If it was twice as big and thick and heavy, there would still be a little bit of sag out here at the end because of the 60-pound weight of motor that's hanging on it. All right, so that's what we're compensating for. Now we slide this steel bar. You can use what you want. You can use. Some guys use a dial indicator and a piece of plastic or whatever else. I like to use this steel bar. It's a uniform thickness, about 1.5 inches by 8 by 1/2 inch thick, and it gives me a nice sound when I get it right. So the idea is that you will slide this under the arbor at this point till it just rubs. You'll raise and lower the column till it just rubs this piece of steel. All right? Then you have to unlock the column and swing the arm clear to the other side. Now, I'm making this look simpler than it is. Well, it's simple, but it does take time. Now, you adjust this side to where this just rubs under it exactly with the exact same feel that you had on this side. All right? Now, of course, you have to go back and check this because this point here where you had it is out 6 inches past this the support level, the support point. And so there's going to be a cantilever effect. This is going to move if you raise or lower this side, it's going to change this side just a little bit. So you swing back over here, check that, make whatever adjustment you have to make. All right, when you make those adjustments, there's bolts. There's a bolt there's an angle iron here. There's an angle iron there. There's an angle iron there, and there's a bolt here and here that bolts those angle irons to the frame of the saw. You'll find them when you look underneath there. You'll need a crescent wrench. I used a crescent wrench. I wish that had just gone out and got the sockets because there's I think because a couple of bolts were missing, I had to change them, and so there's 2 different size sockets there, and that would have just been a 3/8 ratchet and a socket would have simplified things. And well, anyway, yeah, that's neither here nor there. So now once you get this to where these two sides check the same, always remembering to tighten that arm, then you're going to notice something. You're going to swing this around to here, and you're going to lock this in to 0. You're going to set this clamp down in the notch, and that's going to center it up in the 0. You're going to lock this arm. You're going to push the motor, carriage, and all that right back to here. And you're going to notice that when you slide this underneath there, the motor is, this arbor is going to be about, a strong 1/16 of an inch or so, depending on how much your saw sags. You're going to be tempted to want to raise this up in order to get the metal to touch the arbor just like it did on the ends. Don't do that. Overcome the temptation. You'll wreck everything. What you want to do at this point, you got the ends done, put your straight edge on, okay? Get around the back side where there's a bolt back here. You want to look through there because you got light coming in from the other side. You want to look through there and see if you see any light. A little tiny shadow of light is not going to make any difference, but if it's rocking on here because you didn't get your table absolutely dead flat, or if there's a little belly down in it because you didn't get exactly flat, now's the time to fix that. All right, I would hope it wouldn't be more than a 64th of an inch one way or the other, but you might as well get that straight. Now you've got that straight. The next thing, it's straight and tight. The next thing is to gauge this, all right, and then this point out here, rather than gauging the same as the corners, the back corners, it gauges the same as the middle. That way, when you do dados across a 1x12, for example, to build shelves, that dado will be the same depth all the way across the dado. If you adjust this table where this center is adjusted the same as these ends, you're going to throw a hump. You're going to throw a hump in your table. And whatever boards you put on there are always going to rock on that hump. It's not going to be a big hump. Like I said, it's a strong 16th. But that strong 16th, when you're running a board uphill on a 16th, how are you ever going to get a plumb 90-degree cut right there? All right, so you see why it has to be flat there, and if this point out here is not adjusted the same as this point, you can't get a proper depth dado to set a shelf in a 1x12. It can't be done. Well, you could. I suppose you could put some business cards or playing cards or something under one edge and fuss with it and get it and finally get it. But better to just set the thing up correct in the first place. Now, the next thing I want to talk about was installing the oh boy, it went easy that time. Doesn't always go so easy. It's getting looser every day. Every time I use it, it gets easier to use. So the next thing I want to talk about was installing the sacrificial table. So we'll put this stuff back in there. Now, if it won't matter if your fence is just a pinch warped, got a bow in it, because if you jointed the back of this table and if you jointed all the edges of your backboards, when you tighten these up, I tighten them up in stages. I don't know if you need to or not, but and then I give that one a good tighten, then this one a good tighten. And if I'm really fussy, I'll make sure everything's exactly flush with each other. Now that pins your table or your rip fence. Well, it's not just your rip fence, it's your everything fence for now, into place. Now it's time to install a sacrificial top. Well, kind of. It's time to show you how to install it. All right. Hold it out flush to one end so you don't have to router both ends of the thing. Every sheet of plywood has a bow in it. Put the bow down so that you can use less screws. All right. Space. Get a dime and a penny. Well, 2 dimes and 2 pennies. Slide those in there. And push your table or your sacrificial top up against those, and then screw it down. Shouldn't take more than maybe 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because you got the bow in it. Should push it down nice and tight. This crack here it's very important. It'll give a place for the sawdust to go between cuts. So when you push boards up against the fence, you're not trapping sawdust between the board you're wanting to rip or the board you're wanting to cut square and the table. And it's a good policy to keep an eye on that between cuts anyway, but that gives you a little extra safety precaution. So that's about it. In review, you adjust 1, 2, 3, then 4, then tighten the last 2 bolts and retighten all the others, then check it again, because things have a tendency, when you adjust one thing, it changes something somewhere else. So it's because it's a flat plane. Anything you do here affects what happens over there. So then you want to check it all again, and each time you go through it, it gets a little bit closer to where eventually whatever error there is so tiny that it won't matter. You're not going to do this in 15, 20 minutes. It's going to take you an hour. Plan on an hour after you've got the tools and everything in place. Plan on an hour of futzing with this thing to get it right. Well, I hope this video was of some value.